Let's talk Social Security. Folks, I continue to get a lot of comments from people on Social Security saying, hey, I'm taking it at 62. I don't trust the government. They're going to cut our services. Also, the second comment I get related to Social Security is, hey, I'm going to continue to let my IRA or my 401k grow and take what Social Security has to give me. I'm taking it at 62. That's 90% of the comments I get on Social Security. Now, maybe all the other people taking Social Security later aren't commenting. But, I looked at some statistics. 23% of the people take Social Security at 62. Actually, the most popular age is 66 once they're eligible for Medicare and Social Security, and then that's when they chose to retire. But I know this is an unusual audience. This is an audience that really has saved a lot more than the average numbers you're hearing about and tend to retire earlier. We all know that you get 7 to 8%. It's a complicated formula for every year you delay. So basically, let's just use the lower number, 7%. You're getting 7% fixed, adjusted up for inflation every year for delaying. That's a big deal. Now, for you folks that are saying, hey, I'll just let my IRA grow. So, you may say, hey, I'm going to invest that in the S&P 500 and I'll get 10%. Okay, maybe you'll get 10% over a long term. I would agree with that. But are you going to get 7% over the next 5 or 10 years, 8 years? Not 10 years. From 62 to 70 is only 8 years. Are you going to get that 10% then? Don't know. So the choice is, would you rather have 7% fixed adjusted for inflation for that 8-year period, or would you rather have 10% plus or minus 3 standard deviations? 3 standard deviations, S&P 500, it's around 15% if I remember correctly. That's plus or minus 45%. So that's a negative 35% up to, let's say, a positive 50, 55% is what you could have that range any given year. To me, that's pretty high risk, especially when you're retired. Folks, if you're thinking about retirement, you're a lot more aggressive than when you're in retirement. When you're in retirement, you're going to want to take some risk off the table. Let me just say that. I was an extremely aggressive investor while I was working 100% stocks all the way. But so I see some errors in that logic. I see my best asset, my best performing asset is Social Security because there's no risk to it. There's no risk to it. When I wait from 62 to 63, I'm going to get 7% adjusted up for inflation. That's an exceptional asset. I'm not sure why you would take that away. And my most important one's last, so hang on. It's the third point I'm going to make. The second point is it's longevity insurance. What happens if you're married and one of you dies at 72? Okay, the what do they call it? The primary spouse, the one that typically makes more money. You delay that and you get the maximum return. You'll have that return, that higher return. Say, let's use an example. Say one spouse gets $3,000 and the other one's gets $1,500 a month. So that's $4,500 a month. When one of you dies, the $1,500 gets dropped and you get $3,000. So you want that $3,000, that primary earner, you want that to be a maximum. So you want to push that as close as you can to 70. Longevity insurance, especially if one of the spouses dies early. Then, and I just went through this exercise yesterday. I did a deep dive into my financials, which I do once a quarter. I use New Retirement. And one of the things I do inside of New Retirement is I update all my numbers, and then I see my probability of success. Let's just say it's 93. I then make my plan fail. I'll increase inflation, I'll reduce returns, I'll make some tweaks and changes to make the plan fail. Say go from 93% down to 70. Say my spending goes up. inflation. Let's just use inflation. We love talking about that. Say it goes down from 93 to 73%. How do you make that plan solve again? 100% of the time. Now, you have to check with your own numbers. This works for me. 100% of the time, by moving Social Security around, I can dramatically impact that probability of success because it's fixed. And New Retirement or any comprehensive software package looks at that and says, oh, I don't have to worry about negative 35% returns, negative 30%, negative 25% returns. I'm getting 7% fixed every year. So a massive lever to recover from, let's say, 5 years of a bad market is to adjust when you're taking Social Security and push that back later and later. So do that. Model putting in your Social Security at 62 and then put 5 bad years in a row after you retire. And then model taking Social Security at 67, 68, 70 and see how that increases your Monte Carlo, increases the amount of money you have. To me, it's huge. I'm not sure why you'd want to give up on that lever to recover from a bad market. So to me, and this, again, this is my story, okay? There's good reasons to take Social Security early. I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm trying to say make sure you're doing it with your eyes open. People don't think about longevity. They don't think about longevity of just one of the spouses, say somebody dies earlier, and they don't think about it being a lever in case there's a bad market. And to me, it's my best asset. So do whatever's right for you, but make sure your eyes are wide open. I don't think it's good reason, really, honestly, to say I think the government is going to, somehow reduce that benefit, so I'm going to get what I can now. Yeah, it's going to run out in 2034, but it was going to run out in, I think it was 1983. They've had to make changes with Social Security along the way. This time is never different. This is not something new. And then also just the returns are pretty good for waiting. That's my thoughts on Social Security. It's Joe out.